Well, when we talk about this, I think it's important to start out with the fact that we're going to talk a lot about things like farm income today and how maybe farm income is not so different than the long run average. I think it's important to point out, though, that there's a lot of discomfort out in the countryside. There's a lot of uncertainty with respect to trade that makes farmers uncomfortable. They're getting a fair amount of their farm income from a MFP payment that Dr. Coble talked about. So I think when we look at things at a very aggregate level, which we tend to do here in DC, I think there's an underlying uncomfortableness out in the countryside. When we look back, and you say, what's been the drivers of farm income over the last several years? And we had a good run, the longest period of above average farm income since post-World War II. So we're coming off of a time which was exceptional to some extent in the farm sector, and now we're on the downside of that, and farm incomes return to a more normal level. So you look forward and you say, what were the sparks in the past? We had perhaps a surprise when it came to on the demand side when it came to Chinese demand. Surprised everyone, including when I worked at USDA. We had an exceptional run. Biofuel growth added a lot of consumption, a lot of demand to the agricultural sector. And when you look forward, you say, we're in a situation where farm income now is much more of a long run normal. And I think it's important to discuss that, which is it's not so clear that there's another demand spark like China in the future. You look around the world at places like India and Africa, and over the next 10 years, it's hard to imagine that turns into the same kind of demand spark that we had from China. Talk about biofuel policies in the news an awful lot, and there just doesn't seem to be the same growth potential there right now that we had over the prior 10 years. And so I think from that standpoint, we're in a situation where farm incomes is a much more normal level, and I think that there are going to be some struggles as we adjust to this new level for prices and income. Now, there are things out there that could potentially turn this around. A trade agreement with China could certainly put us back on a better path, but I think what we see now is much more normal when it comes to challenges facing the farm sector.